Hello, everybody. I'm going to read to you today one of my all-time favorite stories, Rumplestiltskin. It's one that I used to read to my son when he was much younger. He's 15 now, and he always loved hearing me read, and he still does. He won't admit it, but he does. But he's become a great reader himself, and I want you to become a great reader as well. So here we go. Rumplestiltskin. There was once a miller who was very poor, but he had a very beautiful daughter. Now it happened one day that he had the occasion to speak with the king. And in order to give himself an air of importance, the miller said, I have a daughter who can spin gold out of straw. So the king said to the miller, This is an art in which I am very much interested. If your daughter is as skillful as you say she is, bring her to my castle tomorrow, and I will put her to the test. The next day, when the girl was brought to the castle, the king took her to a chamber that was full of straw and gave her a spinning wheel. Now set to work, he said, and if between tonight and tomorrow at dawn you have not spun this straw into gold, you must die. Then the king carefully locked the door of the chamber, and she remained alone. There sat the unfortunate miller's daughter, and for the life of her, she didn't know what to do. She had not the least idea how to spin straw into gold, and she became even more distressed, until at last she began to cry. All at once, the door sprang open, and in stepped a little man, who said, Good evening, Mistress Miller. What are you weeping so for? Alas, answered the maiden, I've got to spin gold out of straw, and I don't know how to do it. Then the little man said, What will you give me if I spin it for you? My necklace, said the maiden. The little man agreed. He sat down at the spinning wheel, and whir, in an instant, the reel was full. Then he put on another reel, and whir, 3 times around, and that too was full. And so it went on until morning, when all the straw was spun and all the reels full of gold. With that, the little man took the necklace and disappeared. Immediately at sunrise, the king came into the chamber, and when he saw the piles of glittering gold, he was surprised and much pleased. But the sight made him even more greedy. So he had his guards take the miller's daughter to another chamber, a much larger one than the first, and also full of straw. And he again ordered her to spin all the straw into gold in one night, if she valued her life. The maiden was at her wit's end, and she began to weep again. Once again, the door sprang open, and the little man appeared. What will you give me if I spin the straw into gold for you this time? He asked. The ring off my finger, answered the maiden. The little man took the ring, began to whir again at the wheel, and had by morning spun all the straw into gold. The king was delighted at the sight of the piles of gold, but was still not satisfied. He had the miller's daughter taken to an even larger chamber, full of straw, and he said, Tonight you must spin all this into gold, and if you succeed, you shall become my queen. Even if she is only a miller's daughter, the king thought, I won't find a richer woman in the whole wide world. When the young girl was alone, the little man came in again, and for the third time he said, What will you give me this time if I spin the straw into gold for you? I have nothing more that I can give, answered the maiden. Well, promise me your first child if you become queen. Who knows what may happen, thought the miller's daughter. She didn't know what else to do, so she promised the little man what he had asked. And again he spun the straw into gold. When the king arrived in the morning and found everything done as he had wished, he soon kept his promise and married the miller's daughter, and she became queen. When 1 year had passed, a beautiful child was born to the queen. But by that time, she had forgotten all about the little man. One day, however, he suddenly appeared in the queen's chamber and said, "Now, you must give me what you have promised." The queen was terrified. She offered the little man all the wealth of the kingdom if she would keep her child. "No," he said, "I would rather have some living thing than all the treasures of the world." Then the queen began to moan and weep so much that the little man's heart softened and he felt sorry for her. "I will give you 3 days," he said, "and if within that time you discover my name, you may keep your child." During the night, the queen tried to remember all the names that she had ever heard. And she sent a messenger all over the countryside to ask far and wide what other names there were. When the little man came the next day, she began with, "Is it Casper, Melchior, Balzar?" and mentioned all the names that she knew, one after the other. But at every one, the little man said, "No, that's not my name." On the second day, she asked all around the neighborhood for the names of people living there, and then suggested to the little man all the most unusual and strange names. "Perhaps your name is Cowribs, Spindleshanks, or Lacelegs." But he answered one after the other, "No, that's not my name." On the third day, the queen's messenger returned to the castle. "I haven't been able to find any new names," he said. "But as I came around the corner of a wood on a lofty mountain, where the fox says goodnight to the hare, I saw a little house. And in front of the house, a fire was burning. And around the fire, an indescribably ridiculous little man was sleeping and hopping on one leg and singing, 'Today I bake, tomorrow I brew here. The next day I will bring the queen's child here. Ah, lucky it is that not a soul does know that Rumplestiltskin is my name. Ho, ho, ho.'" Now you can imagine how delighted the queen was when she heard the name. And when, soon afterward, the little man came in and asked, "Now, your majesty, what is my name?" At first she asked, "Is your name Coons?" "No." "Is it Hines?" "No." "Is it, by chance, Rumplestiltskin?" "The devil told you that! The devil told you that!" shrieked the little man in a rage. He stamped his feet into the ground so deep he sank up to his waist. Then he jumped up and flew out of the window, riding on a cooking spoon. The end. Thank you, boys and girls, for listening. Again, reading is so important and it will take you a long way. So continue to read. Thank you.